Hi, this is section 4 and we'll be looking at how to work with Babel. In this section, we'll be looking at the following three things. We start out with Introduction to Babel, basically understanding Babel and installation. Then we look at Babel and Webpack for how to work on a browser. Basically, it's a client-side ECMAScript 6 using Babel and Webpack. We then end this section by looking at how to use Babel in Node environment. In this first video, let's try to understand what is Babel. Some of the things that we will learn in this video are Babel Introduction, understanding the Babel setup itself, and then finally how to install Babel. Well, what is Babel? Babel is a JavaScript compiler. It allows you to use the next generation JavaScript, well, today. It does so, or it supports the latest version of JavaScript by what we call as syntax transformers. It also provides polyfills to support the new things within your code base. Let's quickly take a look at the homepage for Babel.js. You can navigate to https://babeljs.io, and as said earlier, on the official website also it just says Babel is a JavaScript compiler and it allows you to use next generation JavaScript today. You see two REPL environment here. Basically this is nothing but on the left hand side it's saying here is the next generation JavaScript that you can write now, and then Babel will convert that to the browser compatible JavaScript automatically. Let's understand Babel setup now. Babel is available as a script which can be used in your web apps. Although available as a standalone script, it's not advisable to use Babel in this way. Using this way, you are transforming your next generation code to the current whatever the browsers can understand on the fly on the browser itself. So that's not an advisable scenario. Babel is also available as an npm package, so whether you are building modern web applications or you're on a node environment, you can use the Babel's npm package and then use it in your build systems. Babel also provides what are called as loaders for many build systems. These loaders make it possible for you to pick up your JavaScript file, transform them to ES5 or ECMAScript 5 during the build time, and then package them. If we head over to babeljs.io, then click on docs and then setup, we'll get a fantastic documentation on how to use Babel in different situations. For example, let's say we're just trying to understand Babel. We want to prototype within the browser, so we can click on prototyping in browser. Then we have the installation instruction, and then we also have the usage instruction. It says here's how you can use a Babel standalone. Notice here Babel is available as a standalone script, so you can reference that script. Then you'll need to put a script and then a type attribute which says this is a Babel script, and here is an example of arrow syntax here, or the anonymous function. And this piece of code, or this code block, will be transformed to ECMAScript 5 by Babel at runtime within the browser itself. If I go back and then let's say I select Webpack as a system, that is the build system where I want to use Babel, and it has a clear-cut instruction on this is how to do the installation. So you do npm install Babel loader and then Babel core. So these are the npm packages of Babel. The loader is used to load a JavaScript file within the Webpack configuration and then transform it. Babel core is the one which does all the transformation. And the usage is within the Webpack config, we just have to set the loader. So notice here, this is the Babel loader that has been set up. Or if you want to directly use within a component or a module, you can directly do like require Babel and then the file name and then use that object. Now that we know the different setup options that are available, let's take a look at how do we install Babel. The simplest one is Babel CLI, or command line interface. It's a npm package, so you can say npm install Babel CLI in your projects. This is a command line interface which allows you to compile your JavaScript to ECMAScript 5 or ES5 versions. You also need a plugin, Babel preset env. It is also available as an npm package, so you can do npm install Babel preset env. This plugin knows what other npm packages are required by Babel CLI. You also have to configure the Babel CLI to transform your ECMAScript 2015 or 2016 or 2017 to ES5 versions by setting some configuration, and that's provided through the env. Last but not the least, there are also loader system available called as Babel Loader. We will look into this Babel Loader in more details in the next video. This is usually used with build systems such as Webpack. Let's see Babel CLI in action. I'm using Visual Studio Code, the free text editor from Microsoft. All I've done is I have a folder here. I call it Babel Install Demos. I've done an npm init. So it basically creates this package.json. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to install the Babel CLI. So all you need to do is you need to say npm install Babel -CLI and then just say save dev. So that means this is my dev dependency. So now npm is going to go and then fetch all the related packages and then install the Babel CLI on my project now. And npm has finished installing the Babel CLI package. As you can see in the dev dependency section, I have Babel CLI. The current version that I'm using is 6.x. Let me clear the terminal here. Next, we need to have the Babel preset env plugin. So I will say npm install Babel preset -env, and then again this is going to be a dev dependency, so I'm going to say save dev. And as we can see, Babel preset env has been installed in our project now. Next up, what we need to do is we need to tell Babel how it has to transform the JavaScript file. So I will say presets and I will say env. So this means, use the latest transforms, whatever you know of, that is ECMAScript 2015 and 16 and 17, and then convert them to ES5, that is the current version the browsers support. Next, I'm going to create a simple file here called as index.js, and inside this I'm going to write an ECMAScript 2016 code here. So let's say I want to create a simple square method. So I'll say my square is equal to n, and then I'm going to create an arrow function or an anonymous function here, and then I'll say n star n. This is the simplest shorthand syntax. So and I will say console.log my sq and then 5. So remember, this is the development time, and then I'm just writing my ECMAScript 2016 or 17 based code. Now I need this to be transformed. So what we need to do is we'll need to come back here to script section. Then let's say build. We'll say Babel. Then we have our input file, which is index.js, and then we'll say out file is index-compiled.js file. So it's a npm way of creating a script. So now I can say npm run build. So I'll come back to the terminal, and then I'll say npm run build, and what we should see is Babel transforming the file index.js, and then notice here I have the index-compile.js. Let me dock these two to the side by side. Here's the ECMAScript 2015 code, and then here's the ES5 code. That is the whatever version the current browsers understand. So notice the arrow function has been converted into a typical function that we know of. So that's what Babel can do, and now we have enabled the Babel CLI on our project, and then we can use Babel command line to compile our JavaScript from ECMAScript 2015, 16 or 17 versions to ES5. We looked at what is Babel, and then we understood the Babel setup scenarios, and then finally we saw how to install Babel.